I'm Eric Novak. In the next year or two, we are expecting as many as about 20 all-new fully electric models to be available to North Americans, and they're coming from virtually every automaker that's out there. And while the tipping point really seems to be here, the future really does appear to be electric. We have automakers who have made commitments to be fully electric by as early as the end of this decade. We still shouldn't forget the fact that there are a number of EVs, or probably some of that second generation EVs here right now, that are still viable and strong considerations for those looking to move in that direction. One of them is right here. It is the Kia Niro EV. Now, the Niro is an interesting model because it has never existed as a gas-only version. There is a Nero hybrid, there is a Nero plug-in hybrid, and as of the 2019 model year, we saw this Kia Niro full EV. So just to remind you about some of what's out there right now in the strong EV category, we're going to take a look at the 2021 Kia Niro EV on my latest review. The output of this Nero EV with the battery, it is a 64 kilowatt hour battery. You have basically 201 net horsepower and 291 pound-feet of torque. That is, of course, always the advantage with EVs in that you have great torque. There is no torque curve like you would with a gasoline engine, so you get everything at once. The posted range for this Nero EV is 383 kilometers. That works out to basically about just under 250 miles. I'll put the exact conversion up on the screen right here. And I need to stress that is basically a baseline. Just like with fuel economy, these sort of range tests are done in a controlled environment. Actually, I mean, these vehicles don't even go on the road when they're being tested for such things. So it's just a baseline. And it's important also to note that that number, it can often be exceeded. I'm driving this Nero EV I think actually today is the very first day of summer. So we're mid-June, mid to late June, and these are really ideal conditions for EV driving. So while it may have a range posted of 383 kilometers, this morning when I pulled out of the driveway and I actually saw the range, it actually said 511 kilometers. I'll post the the miles equivalent because I can't remember in my head, but that's about 25 to 30% beyond, and that's again because of ideal conditions. The weather, the temperature is right. I haven't really needed air conditioning that much. It's really been ideal. So you only use that range posted in your pamphlets as a baseline and not an absolute fact. Now that can mean, of course, that in the wintertime, numbers do go down, but there are lots of ways to mitigate the loss of range in the wintertime. And the main reason why there is that loss, of course, is with gasoline engines, you are relying upon the excess heat loss that comes from the internal combustion process. I mean, an internal combustion engine is a very inefficient form of energy because you have a lot wasted, but in the winter, that is a benefit. With electrics, you don't have that amount of loss. Batteries really only have at most about a 10% thermal loss, so you have to draw on the power to use the heating elements. But I mean, you do have other options here. You can actually precondition a car in the wintertime, so you just basically set it so that it preconditions while plugged into your garage, your home charger, and so that when you get in, it's already warm, which again reduces the amount of range loss. I mean, if it's not too cold, you can also just rely on seat warmers because that doesn't draw as much and just keep the heat down or low. But there's lots of ways to mitigate any kind of loss. So really, that baseline of a posted range is just that. With range not being so much of an issue anymore, it really isn't. We got to get beyond that idea that range is a factor here. We really should be focusing more on how efficient one EV is when comparing it to the next. And with respect to this Nero EV, it is on the better end of efficiency. Now, it has a posted energy efficiency rating in Canada. I believe it's 18.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I will find the US equivalent and post it again. It's just not in my head. But again, just as with range being, you can go beyond the posted range, when you can get more efficient, you can extend beyond that. When I was reading 511 kilometers of range, my energy efficiency was down to 12.9 or even 13 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that's a new benchmark we have to pay more attention to. Not only how far will it go, but how efficient are these EVs in getting there. Hi there. When you see how automakers are marketing their vehicles, there certainly is a lot of ads out there for, trucks and SUVs. There really aren't a lot that you've seen for pure EVs. For whatever reason, well, we know what the reasons are. We're more drawn to the aggressive type of marketing that you see with truck ads like Guts and Glory and Ram and Built for Tough. But you don't see a lot of EV ads that exist. Now, the Kia Niro, however, is one exception. There have been TV ads run specifically for the Niro EV, and I note the contrasting style because while we're always talking about freedom and opportunity and tough and ruggedness with trucks, with EVs, it's always about cautiousness, and it's always about, hey, it's okay. You're not going to run out of range. We got to reassure you. I'm going to show you, just take a look at this Niro TV ad and take a look at how, well, we just want to be making sure you understand it's okay. Have a look.
Meet the all-new Kia Niro EV. With all the versatility of a crossover and an all-electric range of 385 kilometers, it's the only car you'll ever need. The future is here, and it's Kia.
So clearly, it's always about reassurance. I interviewed recently the head of marketing for Kia Canada because they actually do have a strong presence. Actually, on their website, they have a dedicated page towards educating people about EVs. I mean, we have the Niro EV, we have the Kia Soul EV, and of course, there's now the Kia EV6, a really exciting concept. So they're committed to it. And I asked them in an interview, which we did on Zoom earlier this year, why is it that the type of marketing is so different for EV? So have a look at what he said.
The emotional definitely drives a lot of the advertising message. And I think that holds completely true when you're in a developed market. It is a fast growing technology, the electrification. I mean, over the last 3 years, we've sold over 8,000 electric vehicles through Kia. So we've certainly been in the space for a while, and it is growing quickly, but it's still nascent. The vast majority of people are still very accustomed to a gasoline fueled vehicle.
So, okay, it's nascent. Again, we're trying to learn. We're still to become more educated about it. But I still think that psychology plays a role in why we sometimes don't buy vehicles like this. There's a saying that I have, and I teach my marketing students. I'm a part-time college professor about why this is. And the reality is with the human condition, we think with our heads, but we act with our hearts. We make emotional decisions. And so, the type of emotion I think that might draw more allure for the North American crowd is if we had EVs marketed like we did trucks. I had a little bit of fun with this Nero EV earlier. I took some stock footage that Kia has, and imagine what if we sort of narrated an EV commercial like we would trucks, and have a look at what I came up with. Cars driven by gas? How stupid. The 2020 Kia Niro EV doesn't run on gas. It's all electric, baby, and it's got power. Maximum torque from 0 RPM and all the testosterone-loving power to take you on the open road to wherever your dreams take you. The new Kia Niro EV, all the guts, none of the gas. Booyah! So why can't we market EVs like that? I mean, these are fun electric vehicles. The advantage they have, of course, is you get all the torque as soon as you touch the accelerator, not like a gas engine. I mean, even this mild, meek Nero EV, put it in sport mode, you're going 0 to 100 in about 7 seconds or so, or 7.2. So that's not so bad. So I believe that part of the problem here is mindset. This is a fun vehicle to drive, and if we should start talking about it that way, we might see greater success. So despite all the new EVs that are scheduled to come out in the next year or two, we really shouldn't forget about some of the strong entrants that are here now, such as this Kia Niro EV. I've always liked it. I've driven it a few times, and I've always found it to be practical. It is efficient, which is really important for the economic equation overall. It's stylish, and you know what? It's here now. So if you're in the market right now for an EV and you want to look at the options that are out there, instead of waiting, take this one out for a test drive if you can. Give it a look at. You'll probably like it. That's it for this review. I'm Eric Novak. Thanks for watching. There's plenty of ways for you to keep connected with me, so check out some of my social media links, suggested videos, and I'd really love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.